Let's move to question 1.1.2. There is the question. I hope you're able to see. So question 1.1.2, we are given square root of 2x plus 1, which is equals to x minus 1. And this question, it's allocated 5 marks. Okay, so we'll solve the question. In the end, I'll show you exactly where you score marks. So guys, with this kind of equations where you've got a square root, the first thing that you need to do is to remove that square root. And this is how you remove a square root. You introduce a squared on both sides. So by that squared, that's how you remove the square root. So you obviously do what you did on the left, you repeat it on the right side of the equal sign. You always know that what you do on the left, you do on the right. So guys, when you see a square root, this is the way in which you remove it. You remove it by showing that squared, and to equate, you also introduce a square to the right side. You remember from the basic rules. So now guys, you just write 2x plus 1, which is whatever which is inside the square root, because by introducing that squared, you want to remove that square root. Obviously, it's equals to, you know, that squared on the right side, what it means is that you've got 2 of these. So it's x minus 1, it's x minus 1. Can you see, guys? So now your next step is obviously to concentrate on removing those brackets. So guys, the first step, you remove the square root and you have those brackets. The second step, you want to remove the brackets. So 2x plus 1, you cannot further simplify that. It just remains as it is. So it's 2x plus 1, which is equals to, obviously, you know, when you have this, is that times that, that times that, this times this times that. Okay, so it's obviously x squared. It's x times x, it's x squared. X times -1, it's -1x. And then -1x times x, it's negative x. -1 times -1, you know, negative times negative is positive. 1 times 1, it's 1. Okay, I hope you fully understand that part. So now guys, what we want to do now is just to simplify that given expression, or the expression that we just made from that those 2 brackets. So now this remains as it is. Why? Because you cannot add 2x and 1. So this is equals to, it's x squared negative x. It gives you what is it? I just want to check if I haven't made any mistakes so far. I don't think so. So this is -2x, this is plus 1. Okay, so now what we want to do, it's obviously to move everything from the left to the right side. Okay. And the reason we're doing this, it's because we want to equate this to 0, simplify, and get to a stage where we can not further simplify and start to factorize. Okay, so now you can just write everything as it is on the left side, which is 2x plus 1. You just move everything to the left side of the equal sign. So you change a sign. Remember, we've just learned from the first question that you must change the sign when you move a term to the other side of the equal sign. So it's -x squared, it's plus 2x, it's minus 1, which is equals to 0. So let's see, it's negative, it's positive, it's negative, it's equals to 0. So now we can simplify all of this. Can you see? So let's simplify it such that we want to write it in the standard form. Remember the standard form, it's ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0. So the reason why we equated to 0 is because you wanted to have all of this in the standard form, of quadratic form. Why quadratic? Because we saw there's that squared. So It means for each and every equation that you see or that you derive, the moment you see x squared, it doesn't matter whether it's 1 there, if it's 2, 3, whatever number it is, as long as you've got x squared, you must try by all means to write it in the standard form. Okay, so that means obviously it will be negative x squared. This is that negative x squared, and then you work out these values with x just so that you can derive that bx. So 2 plus 2xx is equals to 4x. Okay, so obviously you've got 1 minus 1, which is equals to 0. So this is equals to 0. Okay, so guys, that means is the same as negative x squared plus 4x. I'm just ignoring that 0 because it's just 0, so this is equals to 0. Okay, so now remember guys, the standard form, can you see our a, it's positive there, so I want to have a positive a even there on this equation, so I can just change every sign along that equation. So if I change, then this is positive x, this will change to be negative 4x, which is equals to, this is 0, it's there, right? Negative 0 or positive 0, it's one and the same thing, so you just write 0. Okay, one may say you divide by negative 1, you divide each term by negative 1, so negative 1 divided by negative 1 is positive 1, 4 divided by negative 1, it will be negative 4, 0 divided by negative 1, it will be 0. You can still punch it on a calculator and verify. Okay, so now guys, can we further simplify this? We can't. Just like with question 1.1.1, there was a stage where I've just indicated that we cannot further simplify that equation. So if we can't, that's where we can now factorize. But firstly, with this one, this is how you factorize it, because you see it's 0, so you just take out x as common factor, then you have x on the outside into x minus 4. So you took out x as common factor because x is on the first term and the second term. So now that means your x it's equals to 0. This is that x which is equals to 0. Or x minus 4, it's equals to 0. And you see guys, so obviously you know when you get to this stage, you just want to solve for x. Your x, it's equals to, you write 4 to the other side of the equal sign, it becomes positive 4. Okay, so guys, at all times, please remember that when you solve for x, in the end you must tell that x is equals to a certain value. X is equals to a certain value. So in most cases, when you have this kind of equations with a square root, you might find that between these two values, one of these two values is correct and the other one, it might not be applicable. So guys, I'm giving you as a homework. After this lesson, just try to substitute 0 there and check what number you get, and again substitute 0 there and check what number you get when you punch on a calculator. If you don't find the same answers, then it means this is where you can say not applicable under your answer where x is equals to 0, or otherwise the other one can just do like this. And again, perform the same calculation where you substitute there by 4, get a number, and again substitute there by 4 and compare those answers. If they are the same, then it means for this question x it's equals to 4 and x it's not equals to 0. Otherwise you can just say not applicable under x it's equals to 0. That's if your x which is 0, when you substitute there and there, you don't get the same answers. So now guys, this is where you score your first mark. When they mark your answer sheet, this is where they'll give you your first mark. Okay, so now your second mark, guys, comes from you writing all of these in the standard form. I'm not sure if you are able to see where you've written it in the standard form. So this is where you've written it in the standard form. Okay, so now after you've written it in the standard form, they will also give you a mark for factorization, guys. This is how you factorize. Okay, so now the other mark will come on this x value, and the last mark will come from this x value. So I hope you're able to see where you score marks for this question. So guys, remember, if you've got any questions, comments, suggestions, please do comment on the comment section so that I'm able to take note of what you're suggesting or commenting. So guys, I may be a little bit fast, but I know that with these kind of questions, I don't necessarily need to be that much slow, because you can still try to redo this by yourself and only verify on the video just to check if you have done it correctly. But otherwise, as I've indicated, you don't have to write during a live lesson. You just listen, have your calculator to confirm one or two things, because you will still have an opportunity to replay this video as soon as I'm done with this lesson. So guys, this is how you score your 5 marks. I think it is that moment where we can just have a glass of water. Okay guys, so now let's prepare to move to the next question. So guys, if you've watched until this far, it's a good indication to me that you're enjoying these lessons.